Hi, everybody, and welcome back to More Than Marketing. Today, I'm talking to Lou Gilbert, who is a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing and the Associate Director and Head of Legal at Consortium More Than Marketing. She has over 20 years of marketing and business development experience and is here to us today to talk to us about legal directories, because it's legal directories season, if there can be such a thing. Hi, Lou. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for the intro. Makes me sound quite important.
I think that you are, because you're the only person I know who knows as much about legal directories as you do. So that makes you quite important to me. So there are two big legal directories out there, the two big modern ones that are the Chambers and Partners and the Legal 500. I just want to tell people who don't know, in case there are any non-lawyers listening to this, basically what they are, which is essentially just literally a directory of firms, like a listing. The Chambers and Partners and Legal 500 are special in that they take the effort to rank the law firms, and that's why they're like the big ones, because being ranked in them is a like a prestige, essentially.
Yeah, that's right. They are definitely the two that people would want to go for. So it might be best if I start off just a little intro about what you have to do to submit to the directories.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
So I'll keep it short because it could go on. But essentially, if you want to be ranked in the Legal 500 or Chambers, it's kind of a two-step process. So the first thing you need to do is a written or editorial submission, where you put details about your team, the individuals within those teams, the sort of work that you do, and up to 20 case highlights.
Okay.
That's it in a nutshell. And then the second part is submission of referees. So for Chambers and Partners, you can have a maximum of 20 referees. And for Legal 500, it's unlimited.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I say referees, it's people who have given you permission to be contacted by the directories in their process and give feedback about you and your firm. So the kind of things that they get asked are, what was your experience of this firm?
Okay. So clients and partners, like, stakeholders and stuff.
You would include clients, but also other professional contacts,
right?
Referrers of work, that sort of thing. The main thing is to try and pick people who are likely to respond in the process, because a lot of people obviously don't have time for these things. The emails get lost.
Yeah.
Their emails might be managed by someone else. Things like people like barristers are a good example. They can be a great referee because they understand the process perfectly, because they submit themselves. But they're likely to get a lot of requests. So you need to make sure you stand out. And I also say, it doesn't have to be the most senior person at your client or at the referrers. It can be someone, of a more junior level who is likely to take the time to give more detailed feedback about things like, what was the working relationship like? How available were the people at the firm? What was the value for money? What did it feel like day to day? That sort of thing.
Okay, cool.
So it's worth considering. And it's really important because part of the ranking is the work highlights, obviously. They've got to be of a certain calibre. But the feedback from referees, if you don't get it, it will really hamper your chances of being able to get a ranking.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, it's part of the evidence, isn't it? Because otherwise you could just say,
exactly
oh, we did this and it was really good. And they really liked it.
It needs to have context.
Yeah. So I have two questions off the back of that. The first one is the first section where you essentially write all of your essays. How big is that bit typically? Like, is there a maximum word count, or like, is it brochures and books and books and books, or
No books, please, no books. The best thing you could do is use the templates. Don't try and get fancy and change them. They're there for a reason, and the information needs to be contained within them. So if you're doing a case highlight, don't use more space than is already there. Be as concise as possible. You want to get across why you've included that deal, what's special about it. Does it have a certain level of complexity? Did it involve lots of different jurisdictions? Did you have to do it under time pressure? What is special about it? Why are you highlighting it? And the value of the deal or the transaction or the matter. If you can't quantify it, try and give an idea of the scale at the very least. Yeah, so don't get wordy on submissions. Do them as concisely as possible. And remember that for some sections in the directories, the researchers might be looking at 300 or 400 submissions.
Right, okay.
I think that is the most they have in any one section. So they don't want chapter and verse. They just want you to tell them exactly what you've done and why it's important.
Interesting. Does that apply to, I mean, I suppose this might be a little bit harder to answer, but the sort of things that your references would be asking, because it's sort of more, I always forget the third kind of evidence. It's like primary, secondary, and then like colloquial is always what I want to say. But it's not as hard and fast. It's not the facts and figures. It's like, oh, I really enjoyed working with this person. Is there like a sort of expectation of that person submitting quite a lot or having to write quite a lot? Is like a 10-minute task to fill out the referencing? Or
for the referee thing? Well, actually, a good way to have a little look at what they're being asked is if you go onto Legal 500 and any of the practice areas, there's a little orange tab which says provide feedback on your law firm. And if you go into that questionnaire, you'll get an idea of what people are going to be asked.
Right, so you can prep people ahead of time with an idea of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the more detail they can give, the better.
Okay.
So yeah, they'll be asked, what the strengths of the firm are, and particularly of the individual that's been named as wanting the feedback. Like I've mentioned, value for money, accessibility, how they compare to other law firms, what practices do they have in place to deliver really good client service. Anything that's important to the client, the directors want to know about.
Okay.
What are clients interested in knowing about that firm? So yeah, it's not too onerous a task if you put someone down as a referee.
Right.
They're mostly just contacted by email, so it's not lots of intrusive phone calls, etc.
But I think that kind of highlights the importance of picking people that will have the time to give the kind of answers that you need them to.
Yes, and people that you've worked with recently is important.
Really
so you're
helps.
front of mind. You can include professional contacts that you've known for years and just know you and know the sort of work you do. But recent ones are really good, just so they can produce that sort of level of detail.
So my next question is about the process. Like we've discussed that there's a bunch of layers, and it is, from experience, quite a bit of work. Even though you're trying to be concise, that effort is quite involved. Is it for everybody? Should every law firm be angling to get ranked in the 500 in chambers?
No, I mean, in a word, no. I think it really depends what you're looking to achieve and the sort of work that you do. So bear in mind that these two directories don't showcase things like residential conveyancing.
Right, okay.
So if that's the majority of what you do as a firm, it's probably not going to be for you. But if you have got practice areas where you do a high quality of work, so with a high value or complex work, and you want to showcase it, you want to sort of almost go beyond that high street law firm
Mm-hmm.
type approach. If you want to sort of, elevate your status, if you see what I mean, it could be a really good one for you. So if you do a lot of corporate or commercial work, if you have a niche sort of work stream that you really want to promote, if you're looking to get on panels for different work, things like accolades in the legal directories are important. And also if you want to attract a certain level of fee earner or staff to your firm, a listing in the directories will be really well viewed. So yeah, it's not for everybody. It depends on the work type. It depends on the quality. And it is a long process. It kind of shouldn't be, because in an ideal world, every firm would make a note of all the work they do throughout the year,
Mm-hmm.
what the value was, when the transaction finished,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's a barrister's chamber, when the case was heard and what the outcome was, and et cetera, et cetera. That's not always what happens. So it's a case of digging into those details and getting them all into the submission.
That's very interesting to me. In the list of reasons why you might wish to get ranked, you didn't say, because it will win you more clients, or it looks really good on the face of your firm. Because before I started working in professional services marketing, I'd never even heard of the legal directories before. So would you say that there is anything in their value in terms of attracting more clients at all?
It's a really good point, Jen, because I think that would be a challenge to lots of people thinking, well, our clients are never going to look at the Legal 500. What does it matter?
Yeah.
And in a way, your average client at a corporate or whatever is probably not going to look at Legal 500 or chambers. But if you're thinking about the type of work types, most of these firms will have some sort of in-house legal help, in-house counsel, other professional advisors who will look.
Okay.
So even if it's just a validation. So I always sort of think, if you are doing a lot of business to consumer work, so lots of conveyancing or wills and estates, probate work, automatically people will go and look for the reviews you have on your website. But for corporate work, banking and finance, more specialised areas of legal practice, sort of going onto the directories is kind of like looking at a review site.
Yeah.
So yeah, your average client possibly wouldn't, but if you think of all the intermediaries and the other advisors involved in that sort of transaction, or that sort of type of work, then there is plenty of people looking. And I think another thing, which I didn't mention, obviously, is the domain authority of those two sites,
Right, of
websites,
course, yeah, that's huge.
Chambers, is really super high, because I think there's about 20 million hits over the course of 12 months on Legal 500, which is huge. And I think if you have things like a microsite on the directory sites, you can really track how many people do look at your profile.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that if your website is sort of subpar, or it goes down for whatever reason, or it's its SEO isn't quite there, you could do a lot worse than having a microsite on a directories website, because that
absolutely
will come up and it looks good, and it's got all of that evidence that you're really, really good at your job.
Yeah, and I think there's so much more you can do on a profile now with Legal 500 or Chambers. There's so many other sections that you can add content to. It is like a little mini WordPress site that also you need to keep updated. But you can put things, you can put case highlights on there, you can put press releases, and that's got good traction, it's got a good hit rate. So yeah, if you do have a microsite, make sure you use it, make sure you update it, put all the stuff on it.
So we're running out of time a little bit, so I'm going to ask you one more question, and that's actually basically just we consider it to be Legal Directory season. What's the cycle like? When do we need to have submissions in by? And do you know roughly when the next stages are? When the rankings are announced in the year?
Okay, so we're talking just about the UK for the purposes of this discussion. So the next deadlines coming up will be early December, 6th of December for chambers. That's only a few practice areas, things like commercial property, social housing. There's a few others. They do change them sometimes. And then the majority will be after Christmas, early February, and then March for London submissions.
Okay, wow.
For chambers.
Okay, so you have to be on it.
It's fair to say that it's Legal Directories season, and it will run until March next year. Happy days.
So springtime is directories time. And you kind of have to be paying attention to what you're submitting for and when the deadlines are, because it's not all the same. Okay.
And I would say do a good bit of research on the practice areas to make sure that the work you have fits the criteria and the definitions, because that's one of the main reason people don't get ranked is they're submitting work which is not relevant for that section.
Right.
You know, there's some quite strict definitions of the work that you can include. But yeah, I'm more than happy to answer any questions if people have them.
Okay, would you be happy for us to give your email address here and people can just email you directly? So it's literally just lou@consortiumbiz.co.uk. So that's LOU at consortiumbiz.co.uk.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't go wrong by asking Lou questions about this. As demonstrated, a seasoned professional knows all the ins and outs.
It's very kind of you to say.
So if you need help in any way, you can always reach out and we can have a chat about that. If you have enjoyed this, then we would really love it if you would leave us a little rating on whatever platform you are listening to this on. And if you would like to be in the show or if you have any questions, then you can email me at podcast@consortiumbiz.co.uk. And I think that is it for now. Please like and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks for joining me. Bye.